in-person early voting begins in New Jersey tomorrow, with the election day just a matter of days away.
Democrat Andy Kim and Republican Curtis Bashaw are vying for the New Jersey Senate seat vacated by former Senator Bob Menendez. He resigned following his corruption and bribery conviction. We heard from the Republican Curtis Bashaw yesterday. Today, guess who's in the hot seat of Good Day New York? New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Rosanna.
What's the biggest difference between you and Curtis Bashaw?
Well, I think the biggest difference is, first and foremost, I'm somebody who's been a public servant my entire career, served this nation. I worked under both a Republican president and a Democratic president, served in Afghanistan as a civilian advisor to the military. So this is something that I believe can bring the experience needed for the U.S. Senate position. That's not an entry-level job.
Well, I was going to say Curtis was here yesterday, and he said, well, the fact that you've worked in D.C. is a problem. Here's what he said exactly.
Those business sense is what we need in Washington. Andy Kim has always worked for the government. He's never signed the front side of a paycheck. He doesn't know what it is to be on the front lines of the economy. He's a D.C. insider. I'm a political outsider. He's a bureaucrat. I'm a businessman. He's not for border security. I am.
All right, there's a lot to digest there. He's a businessman.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've seen this over and over again in politics. Does anyone really think we need more multimillionaires right now in the U.S. Senate? I mean, he's a guy that gave hundreds of thousands of dollars of donations to Republican politicians, is endorsed Donald Trump. I mean, this is someone, he tries to call himself a political insider when he's the one that's actually, gave tens of thousands of donations to party leaders in New Jersey trying to buy their endorsement during the primary process. So, that's the kind of stuff that people can't stand, especially after what we saw with Senator Menendez and this idea that you can just, curry favor and have this transactional politics. I'm somebody that served. I'm a Democrat that won a congressional district that Trump won twice. I've done 80 town halls. It's about the people. And the fact that he just denigrates public service, that's the kind of stuff that the American people can't stand. They just want someone to do the work and get the job done.
Let's talk about the people of New Jersey. And since 1972, so more than 50 years, they've elected nothing but Democratic senators. When you take a look at it right now, your lead is only about 5% or so. What do you think you're not connecting with voters as much as Democrats have in the past in that state?
Well, I think we are connecting with voters. I think those polls are from months ago. We've been introducing ourselves. And in particular, I think what people like is that, I'm somebody that comes from a different background in that way. I'm a son of immigrants, a public school kid. I never thought that I'd have a chance to run for the U.S. Senate or even be in Congress. But I think we want to make sure that politics isn't just some club for the well-off and the well-connected. It shouldn't be exclusive in that way. And they look, I mean, I'm somebody that stood up to Senator Menendez. I stayed in the Senate race despite the most powerful political family in New Jersey going against me, all the party leaders in my party going against me. So I've shown that, I'm willing to stand up against my own party when I think they're doing something wrong. And I think that that's something that a lot of people like.
You say that you think the poll numbers are dated. But this is a more recent poll, and it says also 29% of voters are undecided. Are you surprised by that? I mean, this late in the race, people know you, a lot of people do, from your 3 terms in Congress.
Yeah, look, I mean, I represented 780,000 people. Now I'm running a state of 9 million people. So there's no doubt, that this is something that, I had to do a lot to introduce myself. And as I said, a year ago, I wasn't planning on running for Senate. I got a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old at home. But, I've been doing my best to try to get the word out as much as I can across the state.
Well, you alluded to it. Governor Murphy at first didn't support you because he wanted his wife to have the seat, or he was supporting her in her run for the seat. Has he come around?
Well, look, I do think that, Governor Murphy, as well as the other political leaders on the Democratic side of New Jersey, they see what's at stake in this election. I mean, we cannot have Donald Trump back in the Oval Office, and I think that that's, again, this clear decision and delineation between me and Mr. Bashaw. And in fact, again, like, for instance, Mr. Bashaw is someone that calls our reproductive rights and abortion rights in New Jersey extreme, says that he wants to pass federal law that would affect abortion and reproductive rights in New Jersey. Those are the types of things that people understand, and why it is that so many political leaders in New Jersey understand what's at stake. Support me, support Kamala Harris.
You get down here, early voting we talked about starts tomorrow in New Jersey. You seen any idea yet if people are showing up? Because a lot of states, early voting is really ahead of pace of what it was in 2020.
Yeah, so in New Jersey, we see a lot of energy right now with the mail-in ballots. I think early voting.
Oh, those mail-in ballots.
And I think the early voting is still
How many mail-in ballots are going in?
Well, I think there's been already over 500,000 mail-in ballots that have gone in New Jersey, and we're seeing a tremendous amount of energy on that front. Early voting is still something we're working on in Jersey, building out, but I think we're going to be able to mobilize and have an incredible turnout in 11 days.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here. Good luck with the campaign, and we'll find out, knock on wood, in 11 days.
Thanks so much.
You should have a decision, I think, in New Jersey in 11 days. Presidential, we'll find out whether or not we know that in 11 days.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. Thank you so much.